So I should stop right here and state, guys, I am not a Mason. Okay, I don't have a ring. I don't have any tattoos. I'm not like that Choctaw on Facebook who has, a square and compass on my arm, any of that stuff. Okay, I'm just curious, and I went looking about for some, stuff, and some answers to questions I've had were here. Um, like I said, but in the past, I remember Vincent saying to me that the stuff that the Masons are doing are based off of some semblance of the Hebrews. I guess that's the best way to put it. And as I opened up this encyclopedia, which I understand, there's a lot of encyclopedias out there for Masons. This isn't the begin all end all. And even if it was, I remember that one of the things that they always say the Masons do is they teach the lower initiates one definition to things until they work their way up, and then they teach them that the definitions they were teaching them in the beginning were wrong, and that these are the true definitions. All right, so I'm not here saying this is the solid, whatever, because we might find in another definition, just like in the law books, one meaning is for one thing, and then next thing you know, it changes, right? But I thought it was interesting. Nearly every word in here has to do with the Hebrews. They have Aaron here. What got me was this part about Aaron's staff, how they even make sure to symbolize this, because as you read about Aaron's staff here, and something came to mind as you're reading about it, right? I'll pull it up. It's in the book. Hope it comes through clear where everyone can see it. This story reminded me of a story Arthur Scott Jr. told me about the Choctaws and the Chickasaws, and how when they got to their land, it was the staff that they used, their staffs, one for the one leader of the tribe, one for the leader of the Choctaws, and the other for the Chickasaws, that helped them decide what land was going to be theirs, right? Like the staff would lead them. So it was just something, as you're reading about, Aaron's staff and how his was the one that was chosen to be above all the others. So the Levites and all that. So they were, chosen there. That it just reminded me of that, and that story that he told me. But what I really want to get to, is this part about the Aborigines. Let's see. Here. See this. So here they have an Aborigine, or a secret society that was in England in the year 1783. And as I'm going, as that last video I put up about that letter that gentleman wrote to the New York Times, and that was the ambassador to, what's that place over there, Austria. As he's writing about the endless amount of Negroes and them having to take down the Republic so they could expand their empire and things like that to Mexico for all the cotton and sugar fields and stuff like that. I just thought it was weird because the year 1785 and 82 were two big years for them that they were trying not to ever avoid again. So I'm wondering I got to go back and find out what was going on during that time period. But as you see here, there's this whole part of the initiation of the Aborigine, but as they say here, the original, which, like the Spaniards said, when they came to Florida, when they came to what is now Louisiana, when they were on their trail through there, they called the people originals and not aborigines. So I just thought, man, that's like the Spaniards. But there's a scene down here. I want to see where it is. Where I believe it says he has to cover himself. Let me see. I think from the staff resting on his head, he recovers a copy of the law from the hands of the grand original. With those words, enjoy the benefits thereof. He then, that almost reminds me of the what's that movie? The Wizard of Oz, when he's giving out their diplomas and stuff like that, right? Telling them what they now benefit, what their benefits will be. Then he delivers a copy of the law to the case of the servant, after which I don't think it was there. After which the words was given by to the new member Edom, and everything, the garden where Adam, the great aboriginal, was formed. That was another part that stands out to you, because you think about him being Adam, which you think of the story in Genesis, because I've always told you that and I don't like going against other people's teachings, but I've always looked at Genesis as the Genesis 1 was the creation of people. Genesis 2 is the creation of Adam to be the one to watch over the garden. Like, I don't look at Adam as being created in chapter 1. That's the reason why I could rationalize in my mind that when Cain was afraid that other people would come and kill him after he killed his brother, he's talking about the people created in Genesis 1. Adam and his blood, or Cain and his bloodline with Adam and Eve, or we know Eve is not her name, but that was created in Genesis 2. Those were the people that he was afraid of. Therefore, he did not marry, in my opinion, his sister. Like everyone tries to say, he took a wife from one of these people, later on. But I thought it was interesting that they even put in there that Adam was an aborigine. But there was maybe I misread this, but I thought there was a part where the initiate has to clothe himself again. And because it reminded me of Formula 51 at the end, where Samuel L. Jackson goes back to Scotland, and he's undressed and he walks back to the mansion at the end, and because I remember Vincent talking to me about that, telling me to watch that scene, and because there's something to that, and I thought maybe this is what it was with the Aboriginal here. We're down. Record. Hold on, it's messing up. Okay, it's silent. The new member being. See, there it is. Which done. Carrier of the court commanded the silence, and the new member being uncovered and dropping on his right knee. Now, uncovered. I'm just saying, like, that's what reminded me of Formula 51, the movie. Like, are we talking, is this man like Samuel L. in that movie? Was he starch naked? And he's doing this initiation. I'm not saying this is for us. I'm just saying this stuff caught my attention. Like, what is all this? And there was I want to see if I can find this other stuff here. There you go. See? Now, why would they make sure to put the Hebrew alphabet in here? Make mention of that. Let's see if I get this one in here. See that? Nearly all of the significant words in the Masonic ritual are of Hebrew origin. I mean, to me, that proves Vincent's point. Oops, 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 oops. Come on. Why is he doing that? And it has a whole part about the altar. I wanted to see if I could get to the part where it talks about the book of the law, because they make sure that the book of the law is the Bible for them. I'm like, oh, all these Masons are against all this stuff, and they talk out against it. But here it is, you know. Let's see here. There's another one where I was, because I noticed that they had that whole thing about the God having three names and yada yada yada. So there's another one that made me stop and read about this one because I never thought about the Hindu thing and the whole and that thing, right? And their Sanskrit. Let's see, and there it is again. The Jews among the Jews. There we go. And they even have Baal in here. I want to get to one where it talks about Baal being Zeus. I read where, and one of them where he is Zeus, the gate. Look at that too. The gate of El, or the gate of God. And you think about all those guys that talk in that code. They're the guardians of the gates or the gatekeepers of the East and stuff like that. The Native Americans use that term. You hear the Moors talking about the gate of the North and things like that. Let me see, but that's not what I'm looking for. The one I'm looking for is when there it is. There it is. Baal was worshipped by the Babylonians. I wonder if Baal is the dragon, right? The dragon in the book of Daniel is their chief deity. The Greeks, the Romans, considered and translated with Jah or On. Let's see, the royal system. Where it is. I thought he said it's. Trying to find where he refers to him as Zeus. And there's another Paul's were of the scriptures was identified with the something of Apollyon, the god of the sun. And look at this. Didn't we go over this name right here? Abrexas, and that whole song, Abracadabra. Abracadabra, I wanna reach out and grab you. Uh-oh. That was about Baal, wasn't it? And there it is. That's the part about the Bible I was telling you about. Look at that. And they talk about specifically for them, it's the Old Testament, thus in the lodge, sending in title of the Old Testament alone may be placed upon the altar. Get that? No New Testament stuff. Look at that. Because that's the book of the law. And there's black. Black is a symbol of grief. Blazing star. Look at this. The book of the law, the Holy Bible to them. See? So how can they talk out against this the whole time? But this is the stuff they use